My name's Wendy and I have a 28-year-old daughter with alopecia, and she was diagnosed 20 years ago. And at that stage we found it quite confronting and there wasn't a lot of information around, so I have a completely different recollection of how she experienced it to her, because she was an 8-year-old child. As a mother, my natural instinct was fix it, and how do I fix it, and how do I fix it quickly. And it's not something that you can fix. You need to be patient and you need to consider a lot of options. I've also learned through this experience, depending on where you live, and we live in a city with around 400,000 people, that there weren't a lot of options for specialists. And considering that, we also had to look at our finances and how we were going to manage this completely new autoimmune disease called Alopecia areata, which we knew nothing about. So we also found during this experience, all of your friends and relatives are experts on it. Everybody gives you bits of advice, and we listened and we took the good with the bad, and it was, I found a lot of persons just thought she was going to be fine. And so it was my feelings, her sister's feelings. We had everything to consider. We also had to think about options when she was ready to wear a wig. And 20 years ago, all you had was a cancer clinic at the hospital. So we went into the hospital and there was like a box, from what I can remember, a cardboard box. And it was just full of wigs. So we sort of plucked out a few, and we're in a really sort of cold, not very nice environment. And we selected one and we brought it home, and she was really upset and threw it away, which was difficult because we thought we'd found something. So then we went through the process of the lotions and potions. And back then I had to send a fax to Melbourne, then I had to ring up to make sure they got the fax, then we had to get somebody to make the compound, then it had to come back to us, and it was long and involved. That was another trauma that she had to go through, because each day as we're brushing her hair and the patches were reappearing, this lotion wasn't working. And the person who initially told us about her hair loss was a friend of the family. She'd gone on a visit to Queensland to stay with some friends, and this mother had noticed a patch. And I thought, oh, what sort of shampoo are they using? It must be the shampoo. Anyway, so we spoke. We were at the hairdresser, because at this stage we were trying to cut the hair and manage her hair to cover the patches. And the hairdresser, she was pretty direct, and I sort of thank her for that now. She said, I have lots of clients come in with this. Some of them lose all of their hair, some of them it comes and goes. So it was good to have somebody be frank and not offer false hopes. But overall, looking at alopecia areata, the whole journey in the past 20 years, I think every day is a challenge, and there are different stages depending on what your child's experience, or child, daughter, son. And I think that we've done the best to manage it the way that we could, and right now things are pretty good. We've found solutions. We've actually done some things to help persons in the community. For some time I worked for the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and there was an instance where we had to get my daughter a passport, but you're not allowed to wear a head cover. And I actually worked with this very nice gentleman who had alopecia, and at the time I contacted him and said, how can we change things? He actually wore a wig, and I said, my daughter is wearing a headscarf. And so they changed it. Basically, we made a submission to the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and if you have a medical condition now, you can wear a hat or a bandana in your passport photo. So that's another really, really good outcome. And I also think what's been really great is she's had some really great experiences through this disease, and been extremely lucky in love, which is I'm really happy about, because she's got a fantastic partner, and he is really kind and understanding, and most of our family are now too, because before it was something, I hate to say it, but you had to hide it. Now we talk about it, and I think that's one thing I've really learned. Explore your options. Don't be ashamed, and talk to other persons. Like, it's difficult to find support groups 20 years ago. Now there's lots of support. So overall, I think that we've got new technologies as far as hair pieces, wigs. Persons now have, if they lose their brows, they can use, there's lots of options like brow transfers. So I think overall, things are better. And I guess if you've got sort of any questions, there's some places that you can go to ask. And yep, I'm feeling good about how we are as a family living with my daughter's alopecia areata. Another challenge I would say we had, when my daughter experienced her first patches of hair, she was in primary school and had an absolutely fantastic teacher, and we talked to the teacher first, and then the teacher and my daughter spoke to the class to explain what was going on with her health. And children at that age are pretty understanding, and they're inquisitive, and they were great. Then we had the transition to high school, which was going to be completely different, because the high school, or the college that we chose for our daughter, was a private school, and it was a blend of students from different communities and different schools. So we had to go through the process of explaining again why our daughter was wearing a bandana. And we had a meeting with the principal, and because the school was so diverse, we had to have photos of her in different areas of the school so the staff could remember she wasn't out of uniform, because they were very strict on uniforms. And there were times when she was humiliated. She was told to take the scarf off her head, and I'd say her friends that she went to primary school with were supportive, but there was a lot of persons that had to understand and learn about what was happening to the new girl who wore the bandana all the time. Then we went to the stage where she decided she wanted to wear a wig, and we chose a suction wig, and for me it was a fantastic choice, and for her I thought it was a fantastic choice because it changed the anxiety of her wig falling off, or any sort of trauma as far as people pulling, because it just wasn't going to come off, and that was a relief for me. And it looked absolutely fantastic too. It gave her and me some confidence, and I think that's another thing too, that you think when your child's going to school, a lot of mothers talk, and a lot of people felt sorry for me, and a lot of people asked me if she had cancer. So, and then you have to go through the process of explaining again. So that's difficult as a parent, because, you know, people talk when they're at soccer, when they're at tennis, that type of thing. Oh, your daughter's the one with no hair. And they talk quite freely about it, like you have no feelings and your child has no feelings. So that's something else to consider if you're talking to the school.